Welcome back to Everyday Economics, the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, CEO of the 501c3 nonprofit, nonpartisan Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics, a production of America's Talking Network. You can subscribe to all of our podcasts at americastalking.com. Support Everyday Economics by making a tax-deductible charitable contribution. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description. We're recording this episode on Monday, April 8th. And join me, as always, my friend and colleague, Dr. Orphe Divounguy, the PhD economist. Dr. O, a story that gets circulated around the internet quite a bit. And I saw it kind of came back again, this week on LinkedIn. I think you had reshared it, and I had seen it, or I have seen it somewhere else recently again. Advice from Warren Buffett, the chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, talking about, if you really want to understand the markets, or if you really want to understand anything, that would be, key to you. I think it's applicable in that direction. That Warren Buffett suggests that you read 500 pages a day. That's a big ask. That's practically like a James Clavell novel. You're talking about, a lot of time against subject matter. You and I are both pretty voracious readers, and we consume a lot of different content. And now I would say that for me, that I'm probably consuming as much video content as I am reading. It's simply because of the economy of that. But your take on this, in terms of being an expert in subject matter, just the value of reading.
Oh man, look, I everything I learned from reading. No one will actually, there are very few people, I should say, in this world that will take the time to teach you stuff. And so you have to seek out content on your own. You have to go out and read and read and read and read. There's no one you can pick up the phone or run up to somebody. People don't have time to spend on teaching you stuff in very good detail. They just don't have time. You might learn stuff in conversations with people, but they don't have time to invest in you. They're busy investing in themselves. And so I believe that the only way to learn is to seek out content and to just read nonstop. And when it comes to the economy, I can tell you that I spend all of my time reading. In fact, it's become quite a bit of an issue with my wife because I am constantly reading. And I need to put away the phone. I need to put away the computer. I need to put away the newspaper or whatever else I have in my hand and dedicate time to spend with my family because I spend so much time reading.
Well, the average person, is awake for about 16 hours a day. If you get eight hours of sleep, in a 24-hour span, you're talking about, having 16 available hours somehow, some way, and depending on which metric you use, there are people who skim. And, this is an endeavor that would take you somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to potentially 15 hours to read 500 pages a day. The point that Buffett was making, I think, was largely around financial analysts. And I had very, very good advice from somebody when I started investing. And that advice was, if you're going to go and try to do this on your own, realize that you're competing against people that are absorbing content, that's in the subject matter, maybe around a singular stock where they're reading hundreds of pages a day on that sector, on that business's competitors, on, anything related to that subject matter, and that you're always going to be guessing versus them. And I fully believe that to be true. But, with regard to the real center point here, with regard to what Buffett's had to say, and this is something, again, not new. I think the first marker that I can find on him saying this dates back to 2014. And I'm sure that he said something like this prior to that wasn't captured on video or in a news story. What is he really trying to say here?
Yeah, I think he's trying to make the point that basically you have to spend a lot of time You have to learn. You just have to keep learning, right? We joke around that I have a PhD. Yeah, but I think most of my learning came after the PhD. I think the PhD did teach me how to think, but then the inputs that go into that thinking come from all of the reading that I'm doing, elsewhere, right? Doesn't come from textbooks. It comes from consuming the economic news. It comes from consuming new academic research. It comes from, right? And so ultimately, I think Warren Buffett was saying, look, you got to keep learning. Education is the key. And the only way to do that is to read. And so I think that's really, really important. If there's anything we can teach our kids, the next generation, is that reading is important. And that's how you learn. That's how you stay ahead. And, and so I try to do that. I mean, it is hard I definitely don't do 500 pages a day. I think that's a lot, although that's a great goal to have. But I try to consume as much information as possible by reading. And so I recommend it, our listeners, technology's been great, right? You now have Audible. We have podcasts like this one where you can just listen to opinions, hopefully backed by data, that will inform you on what's going on and be used as a potential input for your thinking, right? So I think that's great. I do a lot of consuming podcasts. You end up on the treadmill, you go to the gym, you all go on a walk, and hopefully you have a couple podcasts like Everyday Economics on the go, right? So that you can continue to consume all of that information. I mean, look, the key to success, I think, and to having an edge is information, which is why I think we talk about the news business, but the news business really not gone away, and it's not going to go away because information remains an extremely valuable commodity.
Oh, I appreciate your thoughts as always. For Dr. Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other high-quality podcasts at americastalking.com.
Some people would call him a loser. He ran for state office. He was beaten. He started a business. He failed. He ran for Congress. He lost. He was nominated for vice president. He lost again. But he knew only those who never tried are the real losers. And Abraham Lincoln was no loser. Persistence. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at Value.